I knew I muted you out just because there was some background noise. So
you're practicing good moderation skills.
I earned my green bean.
Yeah, I knew there's a little bit of echo. Maybe because you're in India right now.
I hope that's not going to happen for all of our Android users in the future, but I'm going to put some headphones in.
It will not. It will not. All right. Should we get going?
Let's do it.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the weekly Clubhouse Townhall. We do this every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific. And the goal is really to just to talk to you a little bit about what we've been up to this past week and what we're shipping the next week and any highlights that we want to sort of showcase and really devote the bulk of it to answering your questions. So what we do is we collect questions throughout the week. As most of you probably know, we used to do it just like live, and then Town Hall got to be 2 hours and 3 hours and 4 hours and way too long. So we said, okay, we better collect questions in advance and try and group them together and make sure that we get to the most important ones. So if you have a question, you can go to support.joinclubhouse.com and scroll to the bottom, and there's a link to submit a question for Town Hall. And you can do it now, or you could do it anytime throughout the week. So we've been collecting them this past week, and we've sort of grouped them all together. But if you come up with a question during Town Hall now, feel free to go and submit it, and we'll try and get to it at the end if we can. The other way you can get there is you can always just go to your profile, then tap on the settings gear in the upper right, and then there's a button that says FAQ/contact us. It just takes you to the same place. And you can scroll to the bottom and submit a question there. So to kick things off, we always like to do a few highlights from the week. We'll bring Steph up to do that. I see her in the audience right now. Steph,
good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. All right. So this past week was another wild and wonderful one on Clubhouse. We had Andrew Ross Sorkin host Bill Gates in a little, I think they were having cocktails. NFTs were seemingly all the time, including a room right now. The Lullaby Club had special guest Tom Higginson from the Plain White Tees. And yes, for all you emo teens out there, he's saying, hey there, Delilah. We had Abraxas Higgins and the 15% Club host an incredible welcome and walkthrough with the screen reader for all of our blind users on Clubhouse. That was super special. I got to tune into that for a second. And we also had our first mental health summit. Actually, it was for two separate moments, but a mental health summit. And then we had Noah Lichtenstein, who hosted a roundtable on mental health with athletes, including Kevin Love. Again, so many incredible moments. But today, on this last day of Black History Month, we want to give flowers to our Black creators. As I shared last week, from our earliest days, Clubhouse has been home to so many incredible conversations and moments led by Black creators. And while this month was no different, we dedicate this epilogue to Black History Month to give thanks to those who have played host. From music to literature, medicine, politics, culture, crypto, and much more, the Black community on Clubhouse has continued to shine their light, intellect, and excellence daily. You gathered the Clubhouse community to support Texas. Thank you, Noel ChestnutWhitmore, Harold Hughes, Julie Wenna, Nate Jones, Tony Tai, Domo, and Denise Hamilton for your work, raising just shy of $150,000 in a concerted Clubhouse effort. You sang your soul out, spoke the truth, and gave hope to the community. Thank you, Moo Fresh, Etienne Maurice, Leroy Church, and the entire, not one, not two, but three, 4 casts of Dream Girls for sharing your talent with all of us. You took it upon yourselves to combat the myths and misinformation of COVID-19 and vaccines. Thank you, Dr. Leah Stoney, Dr. Frita, Zakia, Andrea, and the dozens of other Black doctors and medical professionals. You created space for the community to understand Black futures and the future of economics with NFTs and crypto. Thank you, Lady Phoenix, MacGyver, and Crypto Basel Club. You had brave conversations with each other and allies about the responsibility to give back to the culture. Thank you, Mizi, Lupe, Logic, and Culture Currency for creating space for nuanced discussion. You helped us understand that African-American literature is not monolithic and that heavy reading is best done and internalized together. Thank you, J. Edward Barnes and Baratunde Thurston, for bringing important text to life on Clubhouse. You broke down barriers for composers of color and celebrated the Black roots of electronic music. Thank you, Inside Out Club, The Warehouse, Cornelius Harris, and John Collins for expanding our grasp of the African American imprint on music. You ushered in the new Black Renaissance across architecture, film, photography, and entertainment. Thank you, Darnell Strom and Felicia Horowitz, for inviting us to join your dinner table. And finally, you led us into a speakeasy only to remind us that strange fruit can bear new growth and change. Thank you, Bimani and Kadir, for the Cotton Club and constantly innovating new formats on Clubhouse. So to cap things off, I've actually asked a few of the creators I mentioned above to join us so you can hear directly from them. So Bimani, Noel, Leroy, and Jay, come on up. All right. I think while we're getting Noel and Bimani, I can start with Jay Edward Barnes. Welcome, Jay.
Woo! Hey, what's up? What's up? Good to
So
see you
Jay,
guys.
I don't know. I'll give a quick intro of you, but I want you to really just share so much about the work you've done. I asked many of you guys to give us some of your highlights, and by the way, I have to say, by far and away, the most nominations were for Jay. So well done, Reading While Black Club. Jay is the
Shout out
founder
to
of
the
the Reading.
gang.
So Jay is the founder of the Reading While Black Club, and while he's already had 15 books this year, 10 of them were this month, which is so impressive. So I wanted you to come up and just share a little bit about the Reading While Black and sort of your experience on Clubhouse with it, and really the impetus behind all of it, which was I was so moved by when I spoke to you. So go ahead, Jay.
Well, yeah. Hey, Paul, Anu, Rohan, Steph. Oh, what's up, Noel? What's up, Bo? Good to see y'all.
Hey.
Reading While Black Book Club is a one-of-a-kind podcast and book club community that's all rolled into one. So we're celebrating actually our 4-year anniversary. We started February 1st, 2017. And we were kind of created as an online space for Black people to digest and discuss African American literature. As Stephanie said, we believe that just like Black people are not monolithic, neither is our Black literature. And so, like, these books are really heavy that we read this month. Like, whoo, yeah. But like, when everybody has their hands on material and community, like, it makes everything feel so much lighter. And so, like, I'm really appreciative that so many authors were able to stop by and actually talk to us about their literary work, like Jamar Tisby, like Hiese Lemon, who'll be here on Tuesday, Charles Blow, who'll be here in March, who's already on Clubhouse, who's talked about his book. But just the amount of like love that's been shown and the amount of money that we've raised to buy books for incarcerated youth in Montgomery, which has been like a really big passion of mine, working in voter restoration at the Southern Poverty Law Center formerly. It's just been really powerful to see like books bring people together, like across all of the diaspora. Like, we've had people from all over the country, people who have been blind, who have accessibility issues, using audiobooks, and the power of Clubhouse to bridge all of this together has redefined what my podcast and what this book club is. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Rohan, so much. This has really been an amazing experience, and I hope to continue it, on Clubhouse. And so hope you guys can show up to Reading While Black.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jay. I'm gonna switch from you to kind of what I consider often as a duo, but I brought them up for two separate reasons. Noel ChestnutWhitmore and Bimani, and the only one and only Bimani. I'm gonna start with Noel because Noel, I think many people probably in the audience know you as the executive producer of Lion King. But I think what I'm always amazed by is how anytime there's some sort of initial movement where you're really bringing a lot of people together in the community, it's almost always led and begun and organized by you. And I'm always blown away by that. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about one, the Texas sort of fundraiser that you sort of spearheaded, and then obviously you had the help from many in the community, but also you also hosted two incredible conversations this month, sort of related to Black History Month. And then if you would, I would love for you to hint at this new project you're working on.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for inviting me up, and I'm so glad that my partner in fun, Bumani, is up here, and glad to share the stage with the rest of the creators on here. to start with, Texas, this is definitely not a Noel only. There's so many amazing people like Tony and like Nate and Denise and Kat and Swan and Keith and so many, Jerry and Wayne, so many people that all literally came together in less than 24 hours to put together, a benefit for Texas. And in the first, we kicked off a benefit concert, and we raised over $75,000 in that first hour. And then we did a South by Southwest esque of programming that I had to put my head down and go do some work, and the team killed it. And yeah, we raised a little bit under, I haven't looked at it now, but a little bit under $150,000, all of it 100% going to Texas. So I'm hoping the Texas community on this app, like Edward and everyone who's been, devastated by what's happened, can see that the Clubhouse community loves you and will always love you and support you, and not just them, but all. So it was that. And then, I had the fortunate pleasure of hosting a conversation with Zendaya and Sam Levinson for Malcolm and Marie earlier this month around February 5th. And then, yeah, to Steph's point, Bumani and I are at it again, with we are, in the spirit of world peace and unifying people through music, are producing a global jam session where we already have 34 countries signed up to have a 24-hour worth of programming, where we are going to show everyone the beautiful cultures that are represented on this app. And if anyone is interested in participating in that, you can email us at info@globaljamsessions with the S at the end.com. So that's
Yeah.
me and the crazy things that I do outside of Lion King. I'd be like, pop up, boom, and then I leave, and then pop up and boom, and then I come back, and then so
Thank goodness. We're so fortunate that you pop up and go. Boom. Thank you so much, Noel.
thank
Okay,
you.
Bumani, your partner in fun, as you say. I think 2 nights ago was the most I'd ever heard you talk on Clubhouse, as you got to what I call your full circle moment as the founder of the Cotton Club. Um, I think probably the most popular photo that everyone's, as you said, slips into the dress code, is none other than Billie Holiday. And I would love for you to talk about this moment where you got to host Lee and the entire cast of US versus Billie Holiday. Because for me, I just was like so proud of you and so stoked about this moment because it just felt so right. So, Bumani, please.
Yeah. I wish I was like Noah, I can just pop, but I feel like I can't leave. I keep trying to do, cool stuff. And, and yesterday, and that Friday was 100% like a full circle moment. Like this random night, August 19th, where like just a lot of our friends that, I've met on this app, Kadir, Arturo, Jenny, um, we just had one day where we realized like, like the power of music and the power of like building communities and having a safe space for our own on this app is just super important and valuable. And, and I was just like, like this should be a thing. We should turn this into a regular room on Wednesdays. Let's call it the Cotton Club. Let's turn it into this like speakeasy thing where, people change their profile photo to a black and white musician. We got 50 Cent wings, 75 Cent empanadas. And, like Kadir, one of my closest friends that I met on this app, like really pushed like the consistency with that and doing that. And, that's how we met our bartender and close friend Rob, the new co-host Shane and Jaleesa, and just like the overall family, like with Mimi, Dawn, Mir, and all the regulars that come to the Cotton Club on a weekly basis. And 27 weeks later, and ironically at the tail end of Black History Month, we had the opportunity to do a room, in collaboration with Hulu for the United States versus Billie Holiday movie. So definitely want to shout out to Kim who put that together. And I was just like a full circle moment where like I was super proud of like what we've been able to consistently do and the community that we've been built and the space we've been able to hold, just for music and the beautiful aspect of music that exists not only on this app but in the world, and combining all of that to something very unique. And yeah, and then having the opportunity, where our first like collaboration room to being something that is super relevant to the movement, and being able to speak to Lee Daniels about his process in directing that and filming that, and Andra Day, who made that beautiful song, and her, her film debut. And like, yeah, it just felt like a magical full circle moment. I'm glad that had to push myself into doing that interview. And I'm glad the team, Kadir, and everybody's Shane, Jaleesa, and Rob all supported me in that. And yeah, I'm just glad, and we have more things planned. Definitely with the jam session stuff with Noel. And yeah, so you'll see my face more often.
We'll see your face on and on and on. Yes, thank
Seth,
goodness.
if you don't mind, because he's not gonna say it, Bumani is being celebrated by Foot Action as a creative this month. So shout out to Bumani and all of what he's done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, and last but certainly not least, while it may say artistic director, that is because Leroy Church is very much still in work mode, as in about 15 minutes he's going to kick off his third show for Dreamgirls. So we have sort of the pioneers of the musical productions on stage here with us with Lion King, but Leroy picked up the baton and really ran with it. And Leroy, I'd love for you to just share a bit about Dreamgirls production and how you, like I said, I love how you chose forecasts and really gave a lot of people different opportunities. And then tell everyone what time the last shows are today, because there's still another day if you missed it.
Yes, thank you so much, Stephanie. And thank you to the creatives up here, Noel and Bumani. I love them. They already know I came to the Lion King. I'm actually a part of the Broadway production of the Lion King. And so when I saw it on this app, it was definitely inspiring to see Black creatives shining. And I wanted to be in full support of that. And also, I wanted to do it myself because 2020 was a year of unprecedented amounts of heartbreak from the pandemic that stole many of our loved ones, our professional and social lives. My career in Broadway is completely the industry gone. And with the high racial and political tensions, it was one like none other. So, in the midst of all of that social unrest, there was a cry from Black Lives Matter, which became louder with the murder of George Floyd. The same cry activated the call of action for marginalized and underrepresented people. There was an open letter to theater producers, directors, and casting from the BIPOC community that said, "We see you." It was a call to change and change now. And all of that sounds depressing and exhausting, but that is what led me to Clubhouse and to meet Chi Chi, Brandon, and create with these people, and even Noel and Bumani, and be inspired to do a Dreamgirls on Clubhouse. And it's that idea that we took, and instead of begging for a seat at a table, we created the table and asked people to come take a seat. And with that energy, that's what we're about here. And Dreamgirls is happening today at 1 p.m. So there's still time. We're giving all of these artists 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're giving all of these artists the opportunity to shine. Their work has been gone. And so we're just so appreciative. We trended yesterday at number 4 with Effie, who's in the audience and sang her face off. It's been amazing. And in our auditions, they were capped out. So it's been really great to be so supported at this time. And, we're doing this stuff for free for the community and to bring joy right now. But, and we're doing it, like jobs like for me that you get paid top dollar for. But I have never felt, it brought me to tears to think about, but I never felt so fulfilled. But by seeing by seeing all of the people impacted by this and saying that it provided a little bit of joy for them and an escape. So I'm so proud. I'm so proud of all of us up here. And I'm so proud of Clubhouse for providing this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Leroy, so much. All right, you guys, you heard it at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern. Check it out. I just wanted to cap off by saying we're so grateful to everyone who made Black History Month such an important one here on Clubhouse. And to all of you who are bringing people together each day to create a better future, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, Paul, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Steph. And thank you, Noel and Jay and Bumani and Leroy. Hard act to follow, but thank you. It's really, really inspirational.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Rohan. Thanks, Anu.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Peace,
Liz.
peace.
Thanks, Jay. All right. In much less exciting news, we'll get into some product stuff and then make much time for Q&A. So this past week, we did not do a release this past week, but we are trying to do 2 this coming week. So excited about that. The first one that we're going to do is hopefully going to come out around Tuesday-ish. And the big feature we're going to have there is in-app club creation. Woo! So I'm very excited about that. I'm sure the team that is working to set up clubs is very excited about that. Everyone who has been patiently waiting to get their club set up is very excited about that. So hopefully we'll have that out in the next couple days. And the idea is you'll be able to go to your profile and add a new club. And you can say what the name is and give a description and add other people to it. And you can do it without submitting a request and without having to wait for it. So that should be live soon. What we're probably going to do is roll that out first to people that that have been on the app, for a little bit of time, that have talked a few times, hosted a few rooms, but it will still be the vast majority of people who have submitted requests and who would want to start a club. And we're really, really excited. That one's been a long time coming. So I'm very grateful for everyone's patience while we work to get that built directly into the app. And there are going to be a lot of improvements that we'll make to it, but we just wanted to get the basic functionality out there because people use clubs in so many different ways. People use them for like event series, they use them for communities, they use them for private groups. It's been such an important part of the product. And so that will be out directly in the app soon. And then after that, we have a bunch of other features that we want to build. We're hoping to get to as many of them as we can this week, but we'll see how many we get to. So we'll probably push a release out towards the end of the week. And here are a few things that we want to try and get into it. One is higher quality audio. So we're going to run a test there to see what it feels like when we switch everything to higher quality audio. We're going to have links to your profile. So if you want to share your Clubhouse profile with people off of Clubhouse so they can come in and follow you and know how to find you on Clubhouse, you'll be able to do that. Same thing for clubs. Like if you have a club that you've created, a new one or an existing one, you'll be able to go in there, grab a link and post it to any sort of group that you're a part of or publicly and let people know where they can find you on Clubhouse. We're adding some features that allow you to tell us when a room is not relevant to you so that we can make better room suggestions for you in the future. So you'll be able to, hide rooms and say why it's not relevant to you. Maybe it's in the wrong language. It's just like a language that you don't speak. So you don't want to see rooms in that language in your feed. Maybe it's something like a follow for follow room that you don't want to have there, and you can help report that and make sure those don't appear in your feed. Maybe it's just not interesting to you in general. And so we can prompt you to say, okay, well, we showed it to you because you followed these 3 people. Would you like to unfollow them? So what we want to do is just build a bunch of stuff into the product that you can optionally use to tell us what types of rooms you want to see and what types of rooms you don't want to see, so we can make your feed better and better and better over time. Another thing that we want to fix in the upcoming release is we noticed that a lot of people have, certain types of notifications have a button next to them. Like when, one of your friends joins or someone invites you to join their club and you have to actively say yes or no to it. We've noticed a lot of people have those sort of stacked up, and that makes your notification tab pretty unusable because it's just covered with a bunch of notifications that you haven't responded to. So we're adding a feature to that to make the older ones expire and to add a little overflow tray so that your notification tray will become usable once again. And then a bunch of changes under the hood to help you get faster support, to limit false reporting, and generally improve the app performance. And we're probably close to getting a new app icon too, because we're trying to do those, every few weeks rather than every month or two. And so look for a lot of good stuff coming out this week. I've said this at the past few town halls, at least, like we've been growing really fast. And so we've had to put all of our attention onto scaling, which is really exciting to see all these people joining from around the world. But it has meant that we've been able to ship fewer client features over the past month or so. So we're really excited to to have a lot of the infrastructure built out. We'll of course have to continue on working on scaling stuff, but hopefully we can pick up the speed of shipping client features again, because that's something we really like doing. So look for in-app club creation in the next couple of days, and then another release later this week that has a bunch of the stuff that I just mentioned. And with that, we'll get into Q&A.
All right. Can you hear me okay? Just on the lag
Yes,
that you
perfectly.
mentioned earlier? Perfect. I might be on music mode, so I'm testing it out.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm going to batch actually a bunch of these today because I know we had the awesome BHM recap at the beginning, and I want to get to as many as possible.
I'm always very concise, so this will be easy.
Absolutely. Yes. I look forward to it. Okay. A bunch of questions to start on discovery. So
Yes.
the first one is around trending rooms. Are there any plans to have a curated set of rooms that are popular but not based on my follow graph? For example, curated by the Clubhouse team.
So I think that discovery is a really big priority for us. It's a huge priority for us right now. There are thousands and thousands of rooms going on all around the world, and our job is to find the 1 or 5 or 10 or 20 that are going to be most relevant to you. And there's a lot of work that we can do there, right? And so discovery involves giving you the right follow suggestions for people you might want to follow, giving you the right suggestions for clubs that you might want to follow, showing you the right rooms in the feed at any one moment in time, showing you the right notifications at any point in time. And we are, it's generous to say there's a lot more work that we could do along all of those dimensions. And so I think that there's, the question here is like, would we ever show rooms that are not based on your follow graph? Absolutely. I think that there are going to be so many rooms that are happening at any point in time that might be relevant to you because of your interests. You can select interests in your settings and tell us what topics you're interested in. So we'd love to be able to use that to surface more relevant rooms to you. There's some like globally trending rooms I could imagine that might be interesting to you, that are outside of your follow graph. I just think in general, there are so many incredible people on Clubhouse and in the world who are smart and funny and have domain expertise and are deeply interested in the things that you are interested in, but you wouldn't know about them because you don't follow them. So I think our job is to constantly make that better and constantly serve you better and better recommendations for rooms that you might like, and then to give you the opportunity to give us feedback on, is this good or is this not good, so we can improve those over time. So could that include like editorial stuff? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Globally trending, topic based, all sorts of different things, and hopefully they just get more and more relevant over time.
Yeah, I'm going to just quickly run through some specific questions in the discovery category.
Okay. Yeah, I can do lightning round on some of these.
Okay. Will you make it possible to click on a profile and see in which room a person is actually listening or speaking? It'd be so much easier to find conversations.
Yes. So you can actually do that right now if they're your friends, if they're people that you follow who also follow you. If you go to the home screen and you swipe from the right to the left, you see what we call a sidebar. Some people call it the buddy list. And that has a list of all the people that you could start rooms with right now because they follow you and you follow them. And if you tap on their profile, you'll see a little button that can tell you what room they're in. And you can go join the room where they are speaking or join the room where they are listening. So you can only do that for your co-follows right now. I can imagine in the future we could add the people that you follow to that list. And we could also add it to their profile. So if you encounter someone's profile anywhere on the app, you could jump to whatever room they're in. But we started with the people that you follow who also follow you.
Yep. And next question around follower visibility. I'd like to be able to see if any of my followers are in rooms I'm in without having to scroll through the audience. So not people I follow, but people who follow me.
Do you think that was the intention, or do you think the person intended to say people who they are following?
That is a good question.
I would guess. I would
do
guess
not know their intention.
I'm gonna take the liberty here and guess that they meant to say people I'm following, so like my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of that's something that I think we wanted to add in the future. Like right now, the best way to do it is to go to the sidebar and you can see all of your friends and you can see if it will say in a room with you. Or you can search. So some people don't know this, but if you tap the 3 dots in the upper right of a room, you can actually search for someone specific and see if they're in the room with you. There's not a dedicated section to show you people who you follow who are in the room with you right now. That's something we would like to have. So when we think about room design and rooms getting bigger, that's something that we would like to have. There are just a lot of different ways to slice and dice a room. And so the question here is, how do you do it? How do you allow all those filters to exist without it getting overly complicated? So yes, I think we'll have that in the future. People who are following you, we have a section for people who are followed by the speakers, but not people who are following you, because I don't know the use case for that. But if that is what if you submitted this question and that is what you intended, shoot us another note and let us know the use case and how you're thinking about it, because could definitely be something that we're just not, we're not thinking of.
Okay, actually a question I've heard a few times around follow limits.
Yeah.
I'm in follow jail, as I've heard it referred to, which makes it hard for me to connect with new people I'm meeting. What's your reasoning for follow limits, and will you change them based on the behaviors you're seeing? What's the quote-unquote right number of people to follow in Clubhouse?
Okay, so some context here. We have rate limits on the number of people that you can follow. I think overall it's like 2,500, and then I think within a certain period of time you can only follow a certain number of people. And when people hit that limit and they can no longer follow people for a period of time, they say they're in follow jail, I think. I love it when people invent terms like this. So the reason we have that is so that you can't spam other people. So like, if we didn't have that, there would probably be people who go and follow thousands and thousands and thousands of people all the time in order to get follow backs, and that would be annoying. And so the idea is that you should follow someone if you really want to see their content and like you really think they're interesting and you enjoy getting notified about them and seeing rooms that they're in. You shouldn't randomly go follow as many people as you can so that people follow you back. And so we have rate limits to prevent you from doing that. And it's a pretty common thing that networks do, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's better for the user experience. And so the right number of people to follow it's really a function of it's a really personal thing. You could follow 5 people if you want, and you'll only see rooms that those people are in pretty much, and you'll only really get notified about them. Or you could follow 2,000 people. I will say the more people you follow, the more rooms you'll see, but the noisier it will be, right? You'll see a lot more rooms that might not be as relevant to you. You'll get more notifications. And so I think the bar should be, if there's someone who you would really enjoy hearing from, then you should follow them. And if you wouldn't really enjoy hearing from them, then you probably should not follow them. But it's a personal decision.
Okay, this dovetails nicely into a question about room notifs.
Yeah.
I have seen a popular user join a room as a non-speaker and single-handedly bring in hundreds of followers. Why might this happen?
So this happens. So you only trigger notification if you come up and speak, but if you are in the audience of a room, then that could make it so that a room that was previously not visible to your followers would now be visible to your followers, right? So if you have like 1 million followers and there's some room that a small room, and you jump in the audience, then that room might then show up in your followers' feeds, even if they don't get notified about it. So that's why when you join a room, it can bring people to the room, even if you're not speaking.
Yep, so it doesn't send a push notif, but you basically you can see it in the app. Yep.
That's right. And this is stuff that's always changing and always getting refined, but directionally, that's why it would happen.
All right. This next one, I think, I'll tell you my interpretation of it. It sounds like it's about like overlapping scheduling for events or programs.
Oh, right.
So user rates, please make the quote big interview at standard times. Example, Wednesday at 7 p.m., Saturdays at 12. Some of us are working hard to provide substantive content and spend a lot of time planning for our rooms and providing notice to our guests. And it's disruptive at times when these big interviews pop up. I think, they might be talking about some of the big rooms, like I would imagine the Bill Gates interviews, etc.
I get it. So this is pretty interesting. Like, I noticed this the other night. There were like 6 rooms that I wanted to be in, right? There was this amazing room on the history of it was like stories of Steve Jobs, right? And it was all these people from the original Mac team, from like the original Apple team, like the early engineers who are like Silicon Valley famous, who are telling personal stories of all of these moments with Steve Jobs in the early days. And it was like incredible. It was like mind blowing. And then like Diane von Furstenberg was in the room next door with the Good Time team, and then Wyclef started a room, and there are all of these rooms that I wanted to be in, and you just can't, right? And it can be frustrating. It's also kind of part of the fun and part of the experience here. The hard part, I think, is when you're planning an event and there's another room like that and you don't have visibility into it, right? And part of the reason, honestly, is when people bring on a big guest, it can come together last minute. That guest could just jump in as a surprise. Sometimes people that are kind of well known have really busy schedules, and so they can't confirm anything to the last minute. So I think our job, we have a couple jobs there. One is to try and give you more visibility into what other events are going on in the calendar at that time, and then to try to give you better tools for figuring out the ideal time for putting on your show. And then I think the third thing is really just continuing to open up Clubhouse so that even if the people currently here are in a different room, you can go bring more people on, like more friends and followers that you might have off platform onto the app. And I think we're growing really quickly right now, and so all of that helps. At the end of the day, we Clubhouse can't control this because it's driven by the user community, and I think this sort of stuff is going to happen. So what we can do is continue to open up, build out Android, localize the app, things like that, and give you better and better tools for at least having visibility into things that we know are already happening on the network at that time.
Yeah, I think, we actually changed our new user orientation this past week, time-wise as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we try and stay out of the way. We try to, but it's really like, I think this is going to become more and more of a thing as more and more great creators come on the platform. So we just need to build better tools for it.
All right. A few questions now around room features and managing rooms. So the first one is about room design. You have mentioned wanting to work on room design and features a few times in Town Hall. Can you give us more details on what this would look like and when we might get it?
Yes, this is a broad question. So when we think about the product, there are kind of four priorities that we talk about. The first one is welcoming more people to Clubhouse, because like we always say, like the best thing I think we can do for everyone here is to bring more great people on here, so there are more great conversations and people that you can meet. And so that includes things like Android, like localizing the app, I mean, even things like building tools for creator monetization, give more great creators a reason to come on the platform. So growth is one thing. The next thing is just keeping the wheels on as we grow. So that's performance, keeping you from seeing the red error messages when things get too busy, making sure we're scaling support and trust and safety and everything else so the experience stays smooth. The third thing is discovery, which is helping you find the right rooms. And the fourth thing is the in-room experience. And there's so many things that we could do in the in-room experience, right? Like we could add the ability to edit titles. We can improve the hand raise queue so you can learn more about people before you decide who to bring up. We might improve the process of bringing people up and moving people back down. We might improve the audio. We might have better features for moderators. We might improve things like the audience layout. Like all the stuff that we've been talking about in this room is stuff that we want to do. I will say right now, we're more focused probably on scaling and discovery. I mean, Android localizing the app, like that stuff is really important. Android is hugely important, but I think like scaling and discovery are the two buckets that we're most focused on, like in the next couple weeks. But the room stuff it's one of the big four buckets, right? And so if there are any specific pain points, like things that are really hurting the in-room experience, please let us know, because so much of our product roadmap is based off of feedback that we get from everyone in the user community. But I think that our sense is like, one, keeping the servers up, and two, making sure that you can find the best rooms when more and more rooms are getting created every day. and not all of them are going to be relevant to you. Those feel like the biggest things for us to focus on right now. So that's what we're focused on for the next couple of weeks.
Okay, another popular question in a couple of iterations around room duration.
Yes.
Is there a time limit on the length that a room can go for? If not, should there be? I like the thoughtful question.
Uh-huh.
And the second part.
Yeah,
I'll tell you the second part too. Can you list start times for all rooms in the hallway so we have an idea for how far we are into a session?
Okay, so the first one, limit on room times. Okay, so we do not have a limit on room times. I think the record is still the late nights, early mornings crew that did a 12-day room. and I kind of think that's great in a lot of ways. Like, I love it when rooms are organic and they grow and they shrink and they move and topics change and new people cycle in and out. You know, when you don't have a room title, that's even more pronounced. But when you do have the room titles, like, still, rooms can go on for a long time. And it's not really, all it really means is that, like, the room has been open and new people have been coming in and out. And so I don't know of a reason why there should be a time limit on rooms yet, because if people are there and they're having fun and like they want to keep talking, that's great. You know, I think for a specific conversation, I think it can be a really effective thing when people firmly end on the hour and they kind of end on a high note and keep it tight. But if it's just a casual friend hangout and more people come in and other people leave and the topic changes and it's kind of more like a lobby, I think rooms can go on for a long time and it can be really effective. So the second part of the question is, can you list start times for all rooms so you have an idea for how far we are into the session? The reason that we haven't done that is because in those cases I was just talking about, it's not particularly meaningful, right? It's not like a YouTube video where you have a start time and an end time and you know there are only 3 minutes left in a 57-minute video. It's like a room that has been going on for 6 hours. It might be a new wave of people have just come in and they're just getting ramped up on a new discussion topic. And so it's useful sometimes, but it could be misleading other times. And that's the main reason why we haven't prioritized it yet. We'll see how it evolves, but that's how we're thinking about it so far.
Yeah, I think on the one about whether there should be a duration, like some of the stuff you talked about in room design with edit titles as a possibility, like that would really help.
Yeah,
with that question, I think.
Totally.
So all of the things we need to do.
so many things we need to do.
Okay, couple more questions. So one around stage management. Is there a way Clubhouse can put a limit on how many people can be on stage? Also, can Clubhouse add a maximum number of moderators?
Okay, so first one, stage limits. We thought about this in the early days and we're like, maybe we cap it at 6, maybe we cap it at 8. And what we decided is that there isn't really a perfect number. And it totally depends on the format, totally depends on the type of gathering. Like Cotton Club that Bumani was talking about, that couldn't happen if you had 6-person stage limits. Like, people wouldn't be able to explore the bounds of their creativity and come up with new formats if you artificially limited it. And so we decided not to have a limit, and we decided to let everyone in the user community decide what felt right and what felt wrong. And if people were adding too many speakers and the room got out of control, then it would be a bad experience and people would leave, and then people would learn not to do that. And it has amazed us, right? Like, I often say this in new user orientation sessions. We thought that rooms would cap out at like 3, 4, 5 speakers, maybe. And then after that, it would get completely unwieldy and it would be this big cacophony of noise. But I'm sure people here have seen there are rooms with like 20 speakers, 30 speakers that somehow work. And I always compare it to Wikipedia, because there's that great line about Wikipedia, which says it is an idea that works only in practice, not in theory. Like, it shouldn't work, but somehow it works. And it's the same way with rooms that have a lot of speakers sometimes, right? Like, the mute button does a lot of the heavy lifting, and it is surprisingly functional. So we kind of feel like we should not put a limit on what you can do. You should decide what that limit is. Now, with regards to a max number of mods, that one's a little trickier, actually, because I think that there can be this social pressure that people feel sometimes to make other people mods, and I think that's bad for the room experience. Like lots of speakers is quite functional, but lots of mods, I think, usually results in a bad room. And the reason is, if you make someone a mod and you don't have deep trust in them, and like, you know, you're not coordinating on like, you know, the goals of the room, they can invite people up, and then like anyone who's a mod can invite people up and move people down. They can remove you from your own room. They could end the room. They could do all sorts of stuff. And so I think that there is a misunderstanding. Like I think some people believe that if you make someone a mod, it will bring more people into the room, which is absolutely not true. Like that is not the case. And so people are pretty they are they're very liberal about giving more people mod badges, and I think rooms are better if you don't do that. So far, it's just sort of like the same philosophy, like, no hard limits from us, and you should decide what's best for you. But we have thought about like maybe they shouldn't be visible to the audience, or maybe there should be other ways to manage it. But nothing planned yet.
Okay, this is actually quite an interesting one. Can Clubhouse provide a list of actions from the moderators that took place in the room after the room has ended?
Why?
That is an interesting
super
rebuttal.
Question. I'm just curious to know what the use case is.
I imagine there are many, but I do think that sometimes people want to know if there are multiple mods, which mod decided to add somebody to the stage or remove them from the stage or potentially remove them from the room, etc. I think that's, not necessarily the fun use case of it, but I have heard people interested in knowing that information.
Yes, we intentionally don't show that because we want moderators to feel free to take actions like that without fear of retribution. So it's kind of like blocking. It's like, blocking is a soft blocking. So this is another one where I put it back to creator first, right? Like we always say, creator first. If you start the room, you're in control, and you make all of these decisions, and you should always feel comfortable making those decisions, right? Because it's going to make for a better room. So this might be a case where someone was removed from the stage or removed from the room because the creator wanted them to be. And in those cases, we pick the creator, and we think the creator should be able to do that without fear of someone getting upset with them about that. So no, we have no plans to make that visible to anyone. I'm sure there are other reasons why like a list of actions could be useful. Maybe to the other moderators it could be useful, or I think there's a lot of product thought that could go into that. But for that specific use case, that's our philosophy on it.
Yeah, I think that seeing other moderators' actions would be really helpful during the room.
Yeah.
As opposed to this one's talking about the room.
I think so too. But, I think for mods that could be very useful.
Yep, for sure. Okay, big question around Android release. When do you expect to have an Android app out? How would you plan it? And then the more nuanced question, how would you plan to allocate invites to Android users? Would it only be in certain countries at once, or still based on participation?
So we're actively working on Android now. We're really, really excited about it. It's so important, especially outside of the US. And so no exact time frame yet, but in the coming months. And invites, I assume we would allocate them in the same way we do for iOS. And hopefully we can keep opening up, and I'd love to be a general release. I want Clubhouse to be available to everyone in the world, and so the sooner the better, and that's going to evolve just based on what we're observing as we scale.
Okay, I'm going to give you 3 rapid fire questions on clubs.
Boom, boom, boom.
All right. Once the self-approve club feature is available, will the club requests that have already been submitted still be granted? I think you somewhat answered this at the top.
Yes. So like basically when we go through club requests, I think like the main thing we screen for is things that would violate the community guidelines or the terms of service, which are rare. And yes, like absolutely. We want all of those clubs to be created. And the nice thing is people will just be able to do it directly. So hopefully we'll get this thing out there, and then we can notify everyone, and we can help them get set up right away. So yes, absolutely. And I'm very, very grateful for everyone's patience as we've been working to build this in the app.
A club scaling question. Does members versus followers matter? Should I grow the members or the followers?
So if you are seeking to grow your audience, they're the same thing. So the only difference between members and followers is that if you host a private discussion for your club that is members only, then only the members will be able to see it. Otherwise, members, followers, same thing. And it's really the total number that is that determines what your reach is. So if you're just trying to build your audience, followers are great. You don't need to convert them to members.
Okay, this could be expansive, but how will monetization affect clubs?
Oh man, I don't even know how to answer that one. Hopefully in a positive way. But when we talk about monetization, just to be clear, what we mean is tools that allow creators on the app to monetize. And so those could be things like maybe you could charge dues for your club, right? Or maybe like the members, to be a member and to attend the members only rooms, like you pay a subscription to support the creator. Maybe you could have, when you host club rooms, people could tip. Maybe your club can host one-off events like the amazing one that's starting in 7 minutes, and people could charge, you could charge admission to that. The idea is that monetization will affect clubs in that it will allow creators, founders of the clubs, creators of the clubs, people hosting those clubs rooms, to get paid directly by listeners who are happy to pay to thank you for the experience that you're bringing them. So lots more we could talk about there, but that's the high level.
Okay. About our creator program, how can members join the creator program for Clubhouse? I assume this is with regards to the grant program.
Yeah. So there is
or the pilot.
I think it's probably they're referring to the pilot. So Steph and team have had this thing called the Creator Pilot Program, which we talked about months ago, which is just it's really kind of like a panel or a focus group of a lot of the amazing early creators on Clubhouse who have been hosting shows really regularly and creating great content. And it's really just sort of a pilot program to try and learn what features they want, get their feedback, what their needs are. So you can think of it almost like a focus group made up of a bunch of like early amazing creators. It's just a few dozen people. But really the goal of that is to open up all these tools and features to everyone as soon as we can. So I think the idea is really like if there's a question behind the question, like if there's certain features someone wants access to or certain support or resources that they need, like just tell us, and like we want to get those resources to everyone. It's really just like this is just sort of a first pilot so that we can learn, which is how we kind of roll out everything, right? Every time we roll out features, we try and roll them out to like a subset of people first for like a short period of time so we can learn and get feedback and then iterate if needed and then roll them out more broadly to everyone. So that's really the goal of that pilot that Steph and team have run.
If I'm a brand rep or owner, how can I best use or partner with Clubhouse?
Oh yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one. So there's so many brands that have been coming asking how they can be involved. And one thing to call out is that sometimes people have tried to create accounts for a brand, which is not what we want to encourage. Like Clubhouse is a real identity service and every account should be a person, but that doesn't mean there's no place for brands. Like brands are on here creating clubs and hosting amazing conversations and bringing people together in really interesting ways. So if you are a brand or you represent a brand, do you know what the email address is for that, Anu?
We have a partnership set. Maybe we should have a brand set, but for now.
Yeah, partnerships at joinclubhouse.com is the best way to get in touch with us. And what we can do is help get you set up with a club that has your brand's name on it. We can talk about how you can engage with the community. And really the idea is that if you want to come on and host conversations, have real people who are spokespeople for the brand or who work at the company or founded the company come in and bring people together and host conversations for other people, like absolutely. Like we're really excited about the role that brands can play in supporting creators here. It's just not a direct account. It's usually at the club level right now. And if you have ideas and thoughts and feedback, just email us partnerships@joinclubhouse.com and we can help talk you through all of it.
All right. I have 5 more questions I'd love to get through. I know we have 4 minutes.
We can do it.
We don't have a room timer, so I think in this case this helps us. Okay, a few, I think, important trust and safety questions. So one, just for clarification around our enforcement guidelines. How is reporting investigated in Clubhouse, and how are ban periods determined? Or I suppose, different enforcement periods.
Okay, so the way it works in Clubhouse is we get the help of an incredible community of users that report things if they ever see things happening, right? And the way it works, you can read all about this in the privacy policy and community guidelines and terms of service. But the way it works is we do not want to have any of we want to have as little data as possible about rooms and conversations. And so the way that we did it in the early days, we were talking with the community about this during town halls, and we were saying, well, right now nothing is recorded ever. And so that's really good. We really like that. But then if someone reports something and they say something that violated the terms of service, something bad or dangerous happened in a room, then in order to support the that investigation, that user community, we have to have a way to investigate that. So over the course of a few town halls, we talked about it as a community and said, okay, how should we do this? And what we decided was, let's have a temporary encrypted buffer of the audio in a room. And if someone reports a trust and safety violation, then we would take that, it would send it to the trust and safety team. It would be used solely for the purpose of investigating that incident, and then it would be deleted immediately after that. And if no trust and safety violation is reported, which is the vast majority of cases, none of that audio would be saved. It would, just wouldn't be stored after the room ended. And so that's how it works. And we go and have a big team of people who are working on support and trust and safety. They investigate incidents, and then if they either warn people, suspend people, or remove people completely from the service, depending on the severity of the violation, if an incident actually took place. So how are ban periods determined? That's something that is, there is a really detailed set of internal guidelines that sort of walks, it's like a decision tree for every case that talks about, okay, if this and that, if this and that. And that's something that's a living document that's constantly evolving, and based on learnings and feedback and the work of the trust and safety team. And so, like, with regards to specifics, I think it's actually better for everyone if you're not totally transparent with that, because then people would game it. So, but at a high level, that's how it works. And it's something that with any social network, you have to just recognize that this is a huge priority, and it always will be, and you're always going to be learning and making it better and better and better. And the job is never going to be done. So that's how we think about it.
Okay, I think you touched on this actually at the beginning of the question, but does Clubhouse share data with any third parties for any commercial purposes at all? Do you have plans to do this in the future?
No. I'm really glad that you asked that question.
Well, one more
we
time.
Actually noticed that,
no.
We actually noticed there was an article that quoted some vague term that we had in our privacy policy about this. And so we're actually revising it this weekend to remove that term and make it very clear. We do not share data with any third parties. We try and collect as little data as possible. We are not, we don't want to build a business based on ads. That is not what we want to do. So no, that is an affirmative. We do not share data with third parties for commercial purposes at all, and do not have plans to do that. And hopefully our updated privacy policy will make that crystal clear.
Great. Okay, a couple more questions. One around account privacy. Would you consider making account options similar to other services where you can choose to approve followers?
So I think we do a version of that, but it is intended to be more specific to live group audio. So on other platforms, you can approve your followers, and that allows them to see all of your content. It's a single binary decision. For us, it's a room level decision, right? So when you start a room, you can limit it just to a couple specific people that you choose. You could limit it just to people in a club where you've handpicked all the people in the club, or you're a member of the club. You can have a social room where only the people who you follow can join the room. So what we felt that we should absolutely give creators all of the privacy options that they would want to limit the reach of their content. But we think that it's better to do it at the room level, which is even more granular, than at the overall account level.
Okay, and then a quick question about blocking.
Yeah.
Are there plans to reconsider the quote soft blocking method versus what might be a more complete block?
No. Well, let me give some background on this. So when we say soft block, when you block someone on Clubhouse, what we mean by soft block is we don't tell them that you blocked them. And they will, anytime you're speaking in a room, they won't be able to see your room. They won't be able to enter your room. But like when you block them, they won't be able to see that you blocked them. And the reason is, again, we want to think about how live group audio is different from other mediums. And if you end up in a room with someone, maybe they're on stage and you're in the audience, like we never want you to be in a situation where you're made to feel awkward because someone is upset that you blocked them and they call you out for that. And so that's why we did it. That's why we did it the way that we did it, the way that we've done it. And so always open to feedback on this. And if there are use cases or situations where people feel it'd be more appropriate to have a different style, like let us know, because all based on your feedback. But that's the reason why we did it the way we did it.
Okay, I would have loved to take in a lot more live questions, but I do have one that I think is a good one. That'd be nice.
Yeah, sorry, we're already over, aren't we?
It's okay. We had important things to do today.
Yeah, today is good.
So, okay, the question is, what is one type of content you would like to see more of?
Oh man, that's such a good question. I could talk about this for a long time. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well, here's what I would say. Like, voice is such a flexible medium, right? It's kind of like, what can you do with text? What can you do with video? You can do a whole lot. And we've seen that on Clubhouse, right? It's incredible, the range of formats and room types that people have come up with, right? Like, I was talking to someone about Clubhouse and that, they were saying, boy, you could do the things that you could do, anything you could do on radio, you can do here. And I said, yeah, and podcasts and meetups and conferences and church services and company all hands and political town halls and conversations with friends and sing-alongs and musicals and language learning sessions. I mean, there is so much that you can do with voice. I always say this, but voice, it's relatively new in the world of social networking, at least in the US, but it is the oldest medium, right? We've been gathering with other people and talking for as long as civilization has existed. It's the foundation of humanity. It's how we learn. It's how we connect. It's how we pass along knowledge, get to know people, build relationships. It's everything, right? And we want Clubhouse to be a reflection of that. And so, boy, if I had to pick one that we'd like to see more of, I would say daily news programming. That's something I'd love to see more of. Like we've seen people start to do this, and it's such a good fit for the medium, right? Like you think about radio, like morning and evening commute shows where you talk about the events of the day, you build a following, you build an audience. Like here, you can imagine people just reading the headlines of the day and commenting on them and helping you know what's going on today while you're getting ready for work. Or you think about late night talk shows that happen daily where people, you see the late night talk show hosts, they're basically telling you the news through jokes, right? And then they bring on a couple guests after that. But if you're looking to build a following, you're looking to build, a media property, so to speak. A really good way to do it is to have a reliable slot every morning or every evening, where you just sort of, read the headlines and walk people through the news, and people can get to know you and sort of build that relationship with you. So if I were a creator, that's what I would be doing. And I'd love to see more people doing that and for us to support that, however we can. But
I would love to see something like The Daily Show. That would be my version of
that would be me. I would love something where when I'm getting ready for work in the morning, I can just listen to the day's like global headlines or tech headlines, and by someone who's thoughtful or a couple of people who are thoughtful and can just kind of talk through it. Because then I feel like once I'm dressed, I feel like I'm up to speed and I've kind of done that job. And I would tune in literally every day. So that's what I would like to see more of. But I'm sure other people in the community will come up with formats and things that are that I've never imagined that are better than that. But that's my view.
Yeah.
Oh man,
All
we're
right.
7 minutes over.
That's not bad. That's okay. I think we covered a lot.
All right. Well, let's try and wrap up so people can get back to their Sundays. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here, for being part of Clubhouse, and for spending a bit of your weekend with us. I know weekends are a special time to be with family and friends and catch up on things. It's just amazing to me that we get to do this. And just more generally, like I say this all the time, but I think it all the time too. Clubhouse, it's literally a blank slate filled with amazing people. It's nothing without the people. It's everything with the people. That's all that it is about. And so much of what we built is it's just based on these types of questions that you're sending us right now. And we try and be really open with you about how we're thinking about it, and make sure that everything we do is always guided by your feedback. So thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions that we didn't get to, please just reach out to us. If you go to support.joinclubhouse.com, we should have answers to all the most common questions there, and a way to get in touch with us if you have questions that we didn't answer. Just catch us in rooms. We're talking all the time, and we're always available. And we are just immensely grateful every day, like literally every day. We just can't believe that we get to spend our time building this product. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and hope to see any new people here at the new user orientation Wednesday at 6 o'clock Pacific, and everyone else Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific next week. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Thanks, everyone.